Paige. Welcome to my April TBR. Is that right? So if you are new here, I try to do a TBR jar video every single month and pick my prompts that way because I like to have a little bit of structure in my life. I can't just look at my TBR shelf and know what I want to read. I need some guidelines or else I will read absolutely nothing besides fan fiction, and I've done that many a times. So this is my way of trying to keep myself organized and try and read all of the books off of my shelf. But if you would like to watch any of my past videos, I will link a playlist for you right there. But other than that, let's talk about last month. So in March, I was supposed to have read all of these books: City of Brass, You Are a Badass, Thank You for Listening, Rhapsodic, Concrete Rose, and this is my stand-in for Spare because I have the audiobook for it and not the actual physical copy. So out of all of these books, I read these 4. So I still have 2 left that I did not finish. So we are going to already start off April with a punishment slash challenge. So I have a bunch of moon cards that I use to pick what my challenge is for the month. And if I do not complete that challenge in the month, I then have to take a punishment on my board game. So let's pull my moon card. This is honestly one of my favorites. I've pulled this before. It's super easy to do, but I need to create a mood board for one of my favorite books and post it on Instagram. So this will usually be about a book that I read in the month. So throughout April, whatever book ends up being my favorite at the end of the month, I need to create like a little mood vision board for it, and I usually share it on my stories. So if you would like to see what that looks like at the end of the month, if I remember, because I might forget honestly, go ahead and follow me on Instagram so you can see how that turns out. But I feel like it's a pretty easy challenge that I can do and not take a punishment. But we do have to update my board game. So I have this game that every time I complete a TBR prompt, I get to move 1 space, and for every non-TBR book, I always do this wrong, for every 2 non-TBR books, I get to move 1 space forward. So I read 4 of my TBR jar picks, which means I get to move 4 spaces forward. And I read 2 non-TBR jar books, so I get to move 1 space forward for those. So I've moved 5 spaces forward, which still is not quite as good as last month when I got to move so many. I think I moved 21 spaces forward only to be set back 19 spaces because I didn't finish my books. So we have to complete this moon card or else I don't want to know how far back the dice will make me move next month if I don't. So now that those things are out of the way, let's go ahead and roll my D8 to figure out how many books I will be reading in the month of April. And we got a 7, which is totally okay. I feel like 7 is very manageable. It's about 2 books a week. I can totally handle that. So what is my first prompt? I don't know what it is about these cards, but I tend to pick the exact same cards that I'm always picking, and I got non-Western fantasy, which is what I pulled last month, and which is what I decided to pull City of Brass for, and I didn't read it in the month. So I felt like this was the card's way of telling me that I need to give it another chance, I need to give it another go and read City of Brass, because I know that in this last week of the month I am definitely not going to get to it because I have another book I have to prioritize. So City of Brass is back on my TBR. Alright, we pulled on Scribd. So I do pay a monthly subscription for Scribd, and I go through almost monthly and put in every single book that I have on my TBR shelf just to see if the audiobook is available there. And one of the books that has been there for a long time is And the Stars Were Burning Brightly by Danielle Jawanda, and I've been wanting to read it for a long time because I am going to make a video where I read all of the books that absolutely petrify me and are going to make me cry because I do not handle books about grief very well. So I've already started filming that last month, and I need to continue on or else I will just lose momentum for that video. So this one, I believe it's about, it's the only book that I didn't grab. I know it's about a girl who has lost a family member, and I believe it's to suicide, and she's just really dealing with that aftermath. So I'm not entirely certain if I've gotten that summary correct, but I do know it's about death and grief, and I am not prepared because the first book I read for this video made me cry so much, and I felt like that one was the least sad. So this one sounds even sadder, and I've had this book since 2020, I believe. So I don't know if I'm ready for it, but we're gonna give it a go because it's on Scribd and it's only a 9-hour audiobook, which means I can read it pretty fast, which means my crying won't last as long, right? 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 I doubt it. I'll cry the whole time. Alright, another one that I've pulled before. I don't remember when, but I know that I pulled V.E. Schwab a while ago because I have had Vicious on my shelf for so long. So I have to finally get to this one. I think I've also owned this one since 2020 when I first started BookTube, and I heard everyone talk about this, and Vengeful, right, is the second one, and people seem to love it. Do I know what it's about? I think it's about two people who like gain powers by being on the brink of death and like bringing each other back, and they get more and more powerful by doing this, but then become enemies later. I think I could totally have this plot wrong with like another one of her books, but I just want to read it. I don't really care what it's about because it's been on my shelf. I just need to read it. I just need to read it because I know people love it. So here's my V.E. Schwab book. So this is where things got a little interesting. I pulled Prom Swap, and I wanted to use the Prom Swap because I already pulled non-Western fantasy last month, and so I decided that I was going to swap that out and not read City of Brass because it's a big book and I don't want to read it quite yet. I don't feel ready. I feel a little bit slumpy right now, so I like short books that I could finish in a day, and I just know City of Brass is like a multi-day commitment for me, so I decided to swap out the prompt. And I pulled Discord picks for the 3rd month in a row. I don't know what it is about this card. I swear I shuffle these cards over and over and over again before I put them back in the jar. And I randomly pick. I cannot see what I'm picking because I'm looking away from my jar as I'm picking. You don't see my face, but I am. And I keep getting this prompt. And I can't ask my Discord for the 3rd month in a row to pick my prompt because I have just hounded them for 2 weeks straight to get them to fill out a survey for my book club picks. So we are actually going to go with my book club pick for the month of April because I have asked them over and over. I've sent them pings over and over for like 2 weeks so that they could fill out the survey. And we voted and decided that one of our picks for the next 3 months is going to be Weyward by Emilia Hart, and we decided to read it in April. So this, from my understanding, is a historical fantasy that is based on Macbeth, and I believe it follows 3 separate girls throughout different periods of time, and I think they're all witches. So I don't know much else about it, but the cover is absolutely stunning. I need to go to the store and go pick it up so we can start reading it, but I do also know that the audiobook is on Scribd, so I have an audiobook option with it, but I do need to own the physical copy because it's so pretty. I need it on my shelves immediately. So that is one that I'm not gonna hound my Discord to pick again because they already just picked that they wanted to read this book. So we are reading it in April, and if you would like to join the book club, I have the link always in my descriptions, and you can join and become a book club bun with us, and it's very low-key. You can read the book whenever you want in the month and just chat about your feelings. We don't really do a lot of prompts and stuff just because we're all busy, so whenever we have feelings we just share them in the little forum that we have, and it's nice and chill and I love it. So I would love to see you join us, but yeah, I don't know what these cards are doing to me. They just keep repeating and I have hundreds of them in that jar. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I might need to leave them out every month so that I can pick fresh ones. That might be what I do going forward. So Discord picks will be retired next month. I'm saying this now. So Woodsman, we got Mood Read. And something that I am really trying to do is read a little bit more when I wake up before I'm going to bed instead of being on TikTok. So I have downloaded 2 books that I have been interested in reading. They are already on my shelf, but they are also available on Kindle Unlimited so that I don't have to actually physically read them, because it's not very comfortable for me to lay in my bed and physically read a book and try and hold it open. So I have The Hymn in the Silence by Kelly York, which is the second of the, what is it called? Dark is the Night trilogy that's kind of out. I think it's going to be a longer series, but there's 3 books right now. And in the first book, it followed 2 boys in like a boarding school in the 1800s or something like that, and there were some paranormal things that were going on, and I want to continue. And I think this book is a novella, so it should be a short, easy read, which would be a nice, easy prompt to check off the list. But then I also have Nightfall by Emily Goodwin as one of my options. That's been on my shelf for a very long time, and I believe it's about a medium who is being hunted by demons or something, and there is a male hunter who comes into her life, and it's supposed to be like a steamy, spicy romance. And I saw it on TikTok that the author said that she was inspired by Dean Winchester, and we all know how much I love supernatural, so that's why I picked up that book. But I have since seen some really bad reviews for it, so I don't know if I'm quite in the mood for that one because of those reviews, but I am in the mood for the second book in the Darkest Night series. We're gonna see which of those I pick, and I might even pick something totally random because I have this and there's so many options. There's so many KU options, so we will see what I do for Mood Read. And then guess what? We pulled another prompt that I've already pulled this year. It's only the 4th month in, and I keep getting repeat prompts, so I definitely need to retire some after I use them because this is just getting ridiculous. I don't know why I keep grabbing the same ones. But for this 10-year-old prompt, I am going to pull a book that I have already said was going to be on my TBR and then did not read, which is A Man Called Ove. I have put this on so many TBRs, but I feel like because it is part of that video that I'm going to read all the books that are going to make me cry, and I have already read the first book for that one. I feel like I've finally crossed that bridge of being too scared to read them, and I just need to do it. I just need to jump in and read it. So we will be reading it probably in the beginning of the month so I can get it out of the way. But Ove's on my list again. Who thinks I can actually get it read? I don't know. I don't know at this point. It might just perpetually be on my TBRs. I don't know. A new prompt has a map. Okay, I knew exactly what I was going to pull because it's been a while since I have read a Brandon Sanderson book. So I needed to pull out Bands of Mourning for this one. And it's also going to double as my BuzzFeed Readathon challenge or word challenge. I don't know what the exact title of that is, but I believe it's about emotions this month, and mourning is an emotion, like that grieving, mourning feeling. So we are going to go with this one, and it is the 3rd? I think it's the 3rd in the 2nd era of Mistborn, which is following people who can ingest metals and have powers based on those metals that they are able to ingest. And it was a really fun time in the 1st era. I don't love the 2nd era. I don't love it, and I want to love it, but my cousin who has read these books says that this book really makes it worth it and that I'm going to love it if I loved the 1st era, which I did. So I'm really going to trust my cousin on this one and hope that I finally get hooked by this 3rd book in this series. But these books are much shorter than the 1st era, which is really, really nice, and I already have the audiobook for this one as well, so might as well use that to get this off of my shelf. And then we pulled a fantasy, which makes me super duper happy because I am buddy reading The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reed with Randy Lynn and our friend Carmen. And I've heard so much about this, especially from Nat, and she basically sold this to me by saying that this is like Nina and Matthias in a book, and that's all that I really know. I don't know anything else about it. I don't want to know anything else about it because I like going into books blind, and all I need is just that one little phrase. It's basically Nina and Matthias, and that gets me really excited. So I need to read this in the next couple of weeks, honestly, because the buddy read was supposed to happen in March, but then we all kind of like pushed it back because we were busy. So I need to finish this as a priority, but I'm super duper excited to know what this is about and to know why Nat loves it so much and why it's so highly recommended. But I'm super, super, super excited for this. And I have one more book on my list, which is not a TBR jar pick, but it is for my 12 and 12 Classics Challenge, and we are going to be reading The Picture of Dorian Gray. It seems like a really short one, and I've seen reviews that say that people have read it in one sitting, which makes me very hopeful. And I believe that the audiobook is on Audible for free, like you don't have to use a credit for it, which is really nice. And if you don't know what this is about, I think it's about a man who has a like cursed image of himself that makes him able to not age. I don't super know. I know that I read it in middle school and that I really, really liked it back then, but my memory of the books that I read in middle school and high school are just not there. I don't remember a single plot about any of the books that I read in middle school and high school, which is a problem, but we're rectifying it by trying to reread classics now in my adult life, where hopefully my memory is better. So these are some of the books that I will be reading in April. I am actually really excited for this TBR. I feel like it's pretty manageable. It's about like 7 or 8 books, which is totally doable for me because I do try and read about 2 books a week if I can manage it. So I'm excited to see how this goes. Wish me luck on finishing Ove, and all the stars were burning brightly because I'm gonna be crying my eyes out, and hopefully by May I'll be able to have that video out for you guys. But I need to pace myself because I cry over everything. So if you would like to eventually see that video, you can go ahead and click subscribe. I would love it if you would join me over here. And I think that is all that I have to say. I have Instagram and Discord linked in the description if you would like to talk to me about books in the meantime, but my next video should be out very, very shortly. So I will see you then. All right.